Okay, I'm ready. Look at that.
Yo, this office, is it in your house?
Yeah,
Oh, it looks like a real space, like you rented or some shit.
I know.
It's nice.
That's the funniest part. Well, I do my Lenny Solomon live show right behind.
I know, it's perfect.
It, I reinvented myself. I've done 100. Tonight is show number 112. I think tonight is show 112 or 113. I can't remember.
Yeah, so
113 is tonight.
what is your reaction like on that thing?
So I actually last night I had a $200 sponsored the
Whoa!
show. If I get, I put the budget at 20 grand. If I could get 100, if I could get 100 people sponsoring $200, that means I'm all taken care of. Now the thing is, that doesn't really happen. What happens is I get $36 here, $54 here, every once in a while.
But that adds up when you're doing 100-something shows.
It does add up.
So
it does.
What do? You tell them to donate on the show? I think I've seen you say that.
Yes,
But
I go to www.fourcornersproject.org and place a donation for the year, a small donation. I always say a small donation.
Right.
Because they can give $18, they can give $36, they can give 54, or they can give 540. It's up to them. It's I don't know what they consider small or what big or.
So what is going? Because you're in Israel. What is going on with all this crazy madness? How is this affecting you?
So the truth is, where I live in Beit Shemesh, Beit Shemesh is 33 minutes drive to Jerusalem, 45 minutes to Tel Aviv.
Okay.
But everything is starting from the south, right? They're firing through Gaza, through Sderot. Sderot is the first town that you get into Israel from Gaza, is Sderot. Then they're hitting Ashdod and Ashkelon. Now, if they go towards the direction of Tel Aviv, it doesn't go near us. If they shoot towards Jerusalem, then it goes over us to get to Jerusalem. Now, they haven't gone towards Jerusalem. They went Sunday night was the first time in 25 years that we've ever had to go into the sealed room. And because they fired 7 missiles towards Jerusalem. But it didn't hit in Beit Shemesh. In other words, we got a siren. We heard a siren. We said, oh, a siren.
Do these houses in Beit Shemesh come accustomed to these sealed rooms?
They come with a sealed room, which we turn into a playroom. It could be an office. It could be a playroom, but it's a sealed room, meaning the door seals and, you're in it. But I don't want to say we don't take it seriously. We do take it seriously. But Beit Shemesh is, it's just not really what they're aiming at. They really, what do they really want to do? They want to hit Tel Aviv. They want to hit Petah Tikva. They want to hit, and they're afraid to shoot towards Jerusalem because if they hit the mosque, they'll blow up the mosque.
Yeah. So it's pretty tense, right? It's the most tense it's been in a long time, would you say?
Yeah. And also now I have a lot of friends who have sons who are in the army that are on the infantry. They're on the front line and they're waiting for the word to go in for a ground attack. Will there be a ground attack? I don't know. Not sure.
Now, it being more tense than it's been, does that limit you? Kind of like in a lockdown scenario, does it limit you to like you being outside? Kind of like a pandemic, but
no. We haven't been limited yet. However, in the town of Lod yesterday, they had a curfew from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. But that wasn't because of the missiles. That was because there was rioting and the Arabs there were looting synagogues and they were taking over businesses. In other words, Lod is a city where the people, Arabs and Jews, live side by side. The same thing with Ramla. And I don't even know why we don't.
Yeah, but this is
they're just doing it.
This is the territorial thing, right?
You mean they want their land back?
Right. Isn't that what this has been about forever?
Okay, so yes, because in 1948, 5 Arab countries attacked Israel. And somehow Israel beat all 5 countries.
Right.
Then in 56, they did it again. Israel won again. Then in 67, and this is the key, and this is what Jerusalem Day is all about. They just had Jerusalem Day here. And that kicks them in the butt, because in 67, we had the 6-Day War. They not only did they lose, we got so much land. We got all of Jerusalem. At that point, we only had half of Jerusalem, and the other half belonged to Jordan.
Right.
We got it all. Then we got Hebron. We got also Gaza. We got Sinai. We got a lot of land. We got land.
Right.
All of a sudden, Israel, which was this really small country, got a little bit bigger. And they can't deal.
So how do leaders be bitter for 50 years, 60 years?
It's yeah. They
to the point of it's so much violence.
Yeah. It's in their blood.
It's unbelievable.
And not only that, public opinion, people are so stupid. Celebrities, Hollywood celebrities saying it's enough, and Trevor Noah, Mr. Know-it-all.
He's annoying.
No, we're not allowed to respond when they fire 1,000 rockets at us, because it's like they're bringing a knife to a gunfight. And I just look at
Yeah, don't read that. It's all garbage.
It's terrible.
What have you been doing other than the podcast?
There's a lot of things that go into my job, one of which is fundraising. Mm-hmm. So part of what I'm trying to do is to fundraise specifically for 3 albums that I'm working on at the same time. One is an all Hebrew album that I'm going to record in Israel. One is an all English album that I'm going to record by you. Mm-hmm. And the third one is a parody album that I'm going to record by you.
Right.
2 of those albums I'm going to record by you. As soon as I get the funds, we're doing that. But that's really not my main focus now. My main focus is Daniel.
Right.
May 31st is the 9th year since I finished the first draft.
Right.
And what I've done now is I've updated the music, the sheet music of all, we had an updated version from 2016. So now I have that. I have to actually send that to you so that you can maybe update it too. But I have certainly the sheet music that I have that we went into the studio. Now it's up to date.
Okay.
Also, there are 7 new songs, and there were 7 new songs added. And there are now 29 songs. You know what I also did? I watched Hamilton on Disney Plus.
How was it?
Did you see that?
No, I don't really like him.
Doesn't interest you?
I don't like him really.
I never saw Hamilton before.
Me neither.
And I think Daniel is better than Hamilton.
Yeah, I don't like Lin-Manuel Miranda. I don't like him.
Well, he's a genius.
I mean, why is he a genius? Because his show is so successful?
He's a genius because of a number of things. The Hamilton show, which I watched, I've only seen it once now. I saw it on that Disney Plus thing. They used around 5 or 6 cameras. They filmed it over 3 days, right?
Right.
The rhymes, but the lyrics, they're like 700,000 words. I don't know how the actors and actresses could memorize all those words.
Yeah, they're very dedicated. I've seen that. I've seen musicals that have no melody. You know what I mean? There is a melody, but it's a melody that I would never remember in a million years. And these people must spend some kind of time memorizing this stuff.
Yes, and it's unbelievable. So I watched that. Now I will tell you, my first initial impression of Hamilton was, oh my God, the first act is interminably long. It's an hour and 15 minutes.
Right.
And also, there's not it's mostly rap.
Yes.
And I can listen to 10 minutes of rap, but 20 minutes in a row, and then more and more and more.
So why do you think it was so successful?
I think that it was successful because it's a politically correct musical, A lot of this is about politics. When I say politically correct, I mean the cast is
biracial kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. The cast and also the story is excellent.
Are there any Jews in the cast? I've never seen it. Is there any Judaism in the story?
I don't think there were any Jews in the cast. No.
So it's politically correct, but there are no Jews.
No, well that's why. That's probably why it's politically correct.
What?
Because there are no Jews.
So you have 4 projects under your belt, not 3.
So right. So now there's 3 albums. There's Daniel in Babylon, and then there's the podcast, which I do 2 to 3 times a week, and that keeps me going. Although to make a living doing this is really difficult right now because, I've had 4 actual live gigs since the Jewish New Year, which is in September. So since September, I've had 4 gigs where I actually played for people live. I had a Hanukkah party.
Yeah.
I had a Purim party. I had a wedding. And then I just played 2 nights ago for a Jerusalem Day concert, which was 20 minutes and 12 songs.
Okay.
So, it hasn't really been, this really takes a hit. Your musicians are taking a hit. Actors are taking hits. I'm sure you're taking a hit on an engineering level. Not so much?
I've been very fortunate.
Yeah, so I've also been very fortunate because
Yes.
I'm actually making a living.
You're making an effort.
Yeah.
You're not taking this pandemic like I lost. That's it. No performances. You did something.
I think the pandemic has got to go. We have to throw the pandemic out the window.
It definitely has to go. But you didn't take it as a negative. I don't think you did.
No.
I think you took it as a positive. You saw an opportunity.
I saw it as an opportunity that I had to do something because otherwise, what do you do?
Exactly. But a lot of people didn't do nothing.
Right. So this is what I did. I bought a Logitech Brio live stream webcam.
Looks great.
I bought professional lighting. I got a green screen that I could use if I actually ever learned how to use it with Restream.io. I connected with Restream.io, which sends my podcast out to 4 Facebook pages, 2 YouTube channels, and 1 LinkedIn account, and 1 Twitter account.
Right.
So every time I go out, I could theoretically have 1,000 people who are going to watch this, And I did that. And then I added the hockey element, which is that every night I wear a different hockey jersey.
Right.
And why did I do that? Just because it's fun.
Right.
No other reason. There's no Jewish significance to wearing a hockey jersey.
How many Wayne Gretzky jerseys did you wear?
I only have 1 Wayne Gretzky jersey. I have 7 Ranger jerseys, but I have every team.
Right.
Now I'm up to around 56 jerseys with another 30 or so on the way.
With 4 projects, is it more stressful or is it a good feeling that you have fulfilled all these ideas having this under your belt?
I will tell you that music is life. Music just makes me. Music is I wouldn't ever have to eat if I were in the studio like 12 hours a day.
Right.
I would hardly be eating. I would, because the food is the music.
Right. Right.
Music is food for the soul, and I love that stuff.
Yeah.
And then, by the way, if you think that all I have is 4 projects, I want to write another 2 or 3 musicals, but I can't do.
Which you have. Hard. This is not your first musical.
No, this is my 3rd musical, but I have another 1 or 2 that I want to do, that I want to write. But I'd like to I can't really write it until Daniel goes out to sea.
Right.
Daniel needs to be launched.
Right.
So the latest on Daniel in Babylon is that we're looking at doing something like they did in Hamilton, which is doing a 2-week run in a small to medium-sized theater somewhere either in America or even in Israel. I don't know yet where. And then filming 2 out of the 10 shows and then streaming it.
Right.
Now, it won't be a movie, which is what I wanted to do, but a movie costs $5 million.
Right.
And this will cost $550 $550,000.
Well, I'm glad you're going this route. You got to start somewhere. You know?
I got to do something.
Yeah, you got to
right?
start somewhere. Yeah.
So now the thing is, I've got to find an investor, or a donor. It doesn't even have to be an investor. It could be a donor, somebody who just wants to be associated with the project.
So you know what's interesting is that you becoming a musician is the way I believe you should become a musician, and we're going to be an accountant, but that's not what you really wanted to do. But because you really want to do it, you made it happen.
It's funny, but I never thought about what I was going to do for a living because I grew up so fun. It was such a fun environment, you know. I never thought about what I was going to do for a living. And my dad, he knew I was going to be a musician. And he said, don't go into accounting. Don't get your degree in accounting. Get your master's in music. Go to Juilliard. Right. And I said, but Dad, how am I going to make a living? And he, you know, he didn't have an answer for me. So I went to Queens College and I majored in accounting. And when I went to accounting, it was fun. The numbers are fun. Accounting is not a boring field. Numbers are cool for me. But I failed the CPA exam 3 or 4 times. And then I put out this album in 1984, and that was it. There was no going back.
Kesher,
my first band. I put out 3 albums with them, and there was no going back. I couldn't. You know, it was like.
I mean, especially Kesher records were like the top of the top. So these were your first albums, and they were the top of the top. Right?
Right. Yeah.
They were
love those albums.
They were like
they love those albums.
Yeah, great.
And of course, your dad was the arranger on the last 2, and the last 2 were masterpieces. I mean, I could listen to those albums every day.
And you know that was like the #1 formula for a record back then, right?
Yeah.
You had Harry Max and Rick Cutler.
Right. Rick Cutler, Yaron Gershovsky.
Yeah. So you had the A-Team on the first record. There's no going back. Your first record was the A-Team, right?
Yeah, there was no going back.
I mean,
it was it.
I can't believe, you know, a lot of people wouldn't go all out on their first record. You know, you did it right, the right formula the first time.
Right, but I didn't know what I was doing 100%.
People who know what they're doing wouldn't do that.
Whenever anybody would criticize me, and I would have people come up and criticize me, especially with Shlock Rock, you know, they would criticize me. Well, how could you do this? And I would look at them and I go, well, what are you doing?
Yeah.
They were doing nothing.
Show me.
They were just criticizing me.
Yeah, show me your Schlock albums.
Yeah, I said, tell me what you're doing. Show me, give me your musical stuff. What are you doing? And they couldn't answer.
So you went into this with no business model, though.
No, I had no business plan. I had no demographics. I had no promotional campaign. The only thing I had was I would call up communities and say, how'd you like a Shlock Rock concert, or how'd you like a Kesher concert? And then I would take my CDs or take my tapes. At that time, they were cassettes, and I would go and I would do and I would perform. And then I went from one city to the next until I've done now over 2,000 shows and 250 cities, lots of communities.
So you started with the originals, doing original music. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Schlock parodies happened because you wanted to share Jewish education.
You really want to know the truth? Schlock parodies happened because I wanted to have fun with rock and roll.
Okay.
The Jewish education stuff came later. It came in the second album. But the first album that I made, it was just like, oh, let's take these rock and roll songs and let's be like Weird Al Yankovic. Let's be like Country Yossi and the Stiebelhoppers, who were the Jewish group. Let's be like Tom Lehrer. Let's be like Sherman, like Alan Sherman. Let's do that. But we're having fun. It wasn't like, oh, now I'm going to do informal Jewish education through music and media.
Right.
That came later. It started to develop. It developed with the second album, and then the third album, and then the fourth, until now there are 16 parody albums, and there are 16 or 15 original albums, and then another 6 preschool stuff. Yeah, that all the educational stuff developed. because I really didn't have a plan. It was, I mean, it's the truth. I always tell people there was no plan, because they always say to me, well, how do you become a Jewish rock and roller? Or how do you become? And the answer is, look, I spoke to my friends, Evan and Jaron. Evan and Jaron had a top 10 hit in 2000 with the song Crazy for This Girl. They spent 24 hours on buses going from gig to gig. They would do their gig, get in a bus, and ride another 20 hours until they got to the next site. And then they did the next concert. And they did that for 2 years. Well, you've done that.
Well, you've done that too.
But not to the extent that they did.
Well, you're lucky.
Like they would every night in a different bar. Shlock Rock never did that stuff.
You're lucky you didn't. You're lucky you never had to.
I'm very lucky, because that is hard.
Hard. Terrible.
It is terrible. With
Terrible.
a $5 meal allowance and.
How did you learn so much about Judaism other than being religious growing up?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I obviously I grew up religious, still am. So that means I went to synagogue every Shabbat, every Saturday. Now, we had a youth group, a youth center, and there were like 500 kids there, and they taught us things. They taught us the basics. Then I went to Jewish high school, and I went to Jewish day school till up through 12th grade. Now, but then I started really learning after, because you're not really serious when you're in high school. You get much more serious like when you in your 20s,
you're mature,
and 30s, and so I started reading books.
Yeah.
And I always used to say input breeds output. So whatever you're reading, that's what you write.
Yeah.
You can write, but so the Jewish stuff that I was learning, whether it be spiritual or whether it be, historical, Jewish history, I learned that, and then it came out in song.
Right.
But I was interested in it. And now, people always ask me, why didn't you become a regular rock and roll musician? Why did you go into Jewish rock and roll? And I don't know. I think the answer is because Judaism was like an integral part. We had the New York Rangers, we had the Knicks, we had the Giants, the Jets, the Mets, the Yankees, right? We had sports, we had Judaism, we had family, those three things.
It doesn't matter the topic. Everything about songwriting is believing you. You have to write the music that you're really feeling strongly about. It's truthful.
Right.
It's honest.
Right.
And you have to believe it. There's no way to believe it if you're lying.
Well, I think you could write secular pop love songs if you don't believe it. I think. But maybe not.
But whoever wrote it, I feel like really went through it. Maybe.
Yeah, well, most of the really big stars had lots of pain in their lives, like the Sting had and Clapton.
Mm-hmm.
They had lots of pain in their lives.
Yeah.
And then they wrote out Phil Collins, and then they wrote albums coming out of that pain.
Right.
I didn't really want to do that. I didn't really want to go that route. So, but I do believe in Judaism, and I do believe in spirituality, and I do believe that when you write, you are getting some sort of help from a spiritual force that we call God, but other people will call it a spiritual pipeline. There is a spiritual pipeline that you write songs through. Now, what are you going to write about? Well, you could write about anything you want to. You're still using that spiritual pipeline.
Right.
You're still using it, but you could write about anything. So you're right. You have to believe. I believe strongly in everything that I do. So when I wrote Daniel, which I wrote 29 songs in 6 weeks.
Right.
And that was just insane. I've had insane musical writing experiences. The album No Limits, which I recorded with you, that album, 12 songs in 4 days I wrote.
Right.
My second musical that I wrote, called Who Gets the House, I wrote 11 songs in 6 days. When the inspiration comes, you're just in a receiving mode. Everything that you're doing, you're receiving. You are receiving, and you're writing. It's like you're in another planet. People who who have smoked weed and they're trying to get high, right? But when you're writing, you're higher than them. You're on another level. There's another level of writing. It puts you in another place.
You hate when I bring this up, by the way. Shabbos with Lenny. Now they always ask you to come up on the bima and lead the service.
Right.
And I always say, you showing the rabbi up.
Oh, well, the rabbi usually wants me to.
Yeah, but you're not a rabbi. But I always enjoy your service more than the rabbi's service.
Well, were you ever there when I had to give a sermon? I've given sermons.
I know, I've been there.
Yeah. Look, it's always easier when a guest comes to a community because, you're used to the same rabbi giving the same speech every week with a different angle.
But you didn't go to rabbinical school, and you could read the whole Torah like you've done it a million times.
Right, because that's right. Because rabbinical school is different than reading the musical portions of the Torah or leading the service, the liturgy. I did learn all that stuff, and I didn't go to school because my father was a cantor, my grandfather was a cantor, in my synagogue that I grew up in, they taught me stuff. I learned the basics, the fundamentals of being a cantor without going to cantorial school. And so, yeah, I could do anything with that stuff. Now, giving a sermon is a lot harder for me.
Yeah.
Because you got to speak.
Right.
To sing is easy.
Yes. Have you ever married anyone?
No. Oh, that's a good question. That nobody's ever asked me a question.
Have anybody asked you?
I tell you what, I haven't married anybody, but people have met at my concerts.
Of course.
Then got married, and I played the wedding.
Okay, did you play under the chuppah when they're walking down?
Yep. Under the chuppah. Yes.
Now, would you marry anybody?
I'm allowed to. You're allowed to.
I know
you don't have to be a rabbi to marry somebody.
I know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you would?
Well, yeah, but not unless somebody asks me to. It's got to be somebody that says, "Lenny, you're the one."
Now, if I married a shiksa, would you marry me?
No, you can't ask me that question.
Why not?
It's not, because the thing is like this. You want to marry you want to marry a Jewish girl.
I know, Lenny, but you can't come to
marry a Jewish girl. Yes, I would. If you marry a non-Jewish girl, then you have to see what she wants with the family. But
so you wouldn't marry me and my wife unless she converted.
Well, yeah, she'd have to convert, but also there's a spiritual element to this.
I know, yeah. I've mostly dated non-Jewish women.
Yes, I know. We've talked about that.
But you would be the guy that would want to marry me, because
Right.
But you won't do it with the shiksa.
I don't want to.
Do you think that's a derogatory term?
Shiksa is a derogatory term.
How so?
You shouldn't say. I don't know why.
It's.
I have to do some research into that.
But if you Google it, it just says non-Jewish woman.
Really?
Yeah. And actually, I don't know why. I mean, I've heard that some women take it as they're being called a bitch. I don't know why.
But it's not true.
So then why is it derogatory?
I thought chicks was a derogatory term only because it's a non-Jewish. It means, you're right, it does. It means a non-Jewish girl.
Right.
I have to look into that and see what the actual translation is. I don't know.
Okay, you'll have to look into it more, because just Google just says non-Jewish woman. What does the word schlock mean, dude?
Schlock means second hand. So now in Yiddish, it has other words. Schlock means, it could mean junk. It could mean garbage. It could mean crap. But really, when I grew up, schlock meant secondhand. So if you bought a sofa from somebody, let's say, you got a secondhand sofa. It was on the street. They were about to throw it out, but you said, you know what? That's really nice. Why are you throwing that out? And the guy said, well, I'm wealthy and I bought a new one and I don't need this one. So you said, I'll take it off your hands. How much do you want for it? $20. So you give the guy $20 and you take the sofa. The sofa's called a schlocky sofa because it's a secondhand sofa. So Shlock Rock is secondhand music. It's secondhand rock, right? The music is, you're using it a second time and you're using the words anew. Shlock Rock. That's how I came to it. All these guys said, change the name, change the name. It's a terrible name.
How long did it take you to decide to associate with the parody?
It just popped into my brain and that was it.
It's great.
The name pops into your brain and that's the name.
What is your favorite concept of a parody? Non-musical. Has nothing to do with the music. Has to do with what you wrote about.
Oh.
But you could tell me both, your favorite parody, but also your favorite concept.
So I always, whenever anybody ever asks me what my favorite parody is, I always say there's so many. I have 200 parody songs. I can't really pick one.
You have
There's
to.
not one. However.
This is my show.
Broadway, I'll tell you the Broadway stuff. The Broadway stuff.
Yes.
Is the most complicated parody stuff that I've written. For instance, stuff from Sit Down, You're Rocking the Boat from Guys and Dolls, which is Come Round, He's Making a Boat. The song from Hairspray, You Can't Stop the Beat. But also, on the second Broadway album, I did some Wicked stuff.
Right.
From the musical Wicked.
Right.
Just fabulous parodies, but they weren't successful.
Okay, but
you know what's successful?
Yes.
Successful is Achashverosh, Achashverosh. If you think about it, it makes sense. Because what is it that people really want, most people? Pop music. They want pop. They want 3 chords and an easily identifiable melody.
Okay.
So when I did Amadeus and I turned it into Achashverosh, which I didn't even do, A-Time G wrote that.
Right.
And he handed it to me, and then I just finished it.
One of the Broadway albums would be your favorite. But what would be every song is about something in Judaism.
Yes.
So if you could pick one of your favorite concepts on a topic of Judaism on the album, what would it be?
Jewish unity, 2 Unite All Jews.
Okay.
From U2, With or Without You. Jewish unity. See, whatever's going on right now in the world is all about the fact that we can't get along as Jews. We don't get along.
That's interesting, yeah.
And the message that I believe God is trying to tell us is start, work together.
Trust each other.
I don't know if you've been following the Israeli politics, but we've had 4 elections in the last 2 years.
Right.
We can't get a government.
Right.
Everybody hates each other.
Right. But you still love it there.
So what do you think happens now? Now there's a war. Well, not really a war yet, but it could turn into one. Right now, it's just rockets being fired at us, and we are defending ourselves.
Right.
But so I think that it's all about Jewish unity. Jewish unity. Anything that I write about unity is stuff that I love. To unite all Jews. Let me see what else. If there's anything else, I love. I'll be called Michal.
Yes.
The Bat Mitzvah song. That's a great parody.
Yes.
I love Shlomo, which is the Lido Shuffle, but a lot of it is because I love the original song.
Me too. My favorite drummer.
Oh.
Jeff Beccaro.
That guy.
Pictures of him all over. But Minion Man, one of your originals, is your most popular song, would you say?
Correct. Minion Man is the song that everybody loved.
But how did you feel to put somebody else as the lead vocal?
In '87, when I was starting out, I thought that Gershon Veroba would sing the ballad better than I would. Nowadays, I would sing everything pretty much. I always pretty much sing everything. But
what do you think made that song so popular?
I didn't see it coming, but really, if you think about it, it's all about unity. It's all about getting along. It's about 9 people finding a 10th person. Now you have a minion. Now we're all together. And then you look back upon those days and the minion is gone. But, It's about unity. That's the key. The key that I think that all of us Jews have to come together. Jewish unity.
Okay, can you share any future parody ideas?
Well, the album that I'm working on that I'm going to work on that is really it's over here, and I want to do. You ready for this?
Yes.
I want to do "Wake Me Up Before You Go Go."
Yes.
I want to do "Karma Chameleon."
Yes.
I want to do "Footloose."
Right.
I don't know if I'm going to do these. I want to do. I'd love to do Jack and Diane, but I don't from John Cougar, but I don't think I'm going to. I want to do Amy from Pure Prairie League. You know the song?
Yeah.
You don't like it?
It's okay. I just want to know if you have any ideas of what these are going to be about.
Oh, well, Amy is called Eruv. I've written it already.
Okay.
What's an Eruv? An Eruv is a it's a structure that allows you to carry on the Shabbat within the Eruv.
Okay.
Because otherwise you wouldn't be allowed to carry.
Right.
So I've never written about that.
That's a good one. That's a
good one. So Wake Me Up Before You Go is about going to a minyan, going to shul. Wake me up before you go, because I'm not planning on praying solo, you know.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right, so we'll go to the short stuff. Favorite performance of a musician on any of your records?
So your dad soloing a bunch of songs, but I love Still the One, when he soloed Still the One, when he soloed Reeling with the Years, when he soloed First Step, which is an original song, Assimilation Blues. Well, I'll tell you, the most famous person to play on our album was Eric Gale.
Right.
First album.
Right.
He's not alive anymore.
Right.
But favorite. Oh, I'll tell you what. The Amuna album, Tom Bones Malone played trumpet.
Okay.
Did a solo on Yiru, the song we have, track 6 on that album, that it took him one take. Every note was perfect. What was happening at that point in my career was your dad was doing parodies, 87, 88, 89, and then 90 he did Lenny and the Schlockers, which was original. That was the first original Schlock project that he did. But Mick Cantarella did 86, Learning is Good. He also did 87, Jewish Pride, and 88, Amuna. Now, Jewish Pride and Amuna were original albums. And who played on those albums? Myself, Shmuel Wasserman, Oliver Shalom, because he's not alive anymore. Mark Skyer played bass. Yona Lloyd played guitar. Jonathan Rimberg also played guitar. Seth Stavsky also played guitar. Gershon Veroba played piano. Me and Gershon, I did the fast music and he did the ballads.
All right. Now, more short answers. Favorite road food?
Burgers at Ken's Diner in Chicago.
Okay. Favorite place for Shabbos on the road?
Norfolk, Virginia.
Oh, good one. Beautiful.
I love going to Norfolk, Virginia.
Got to go to Virginia Beach, but that's a far walk from Norfolk.
You're right. Virginia Beach. And I love, by the way, traveling over the Chesapeake Bay Bridge tunnel, which is 22 miles of bridge and tunnel. And you get to Norfolk.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I remember. That. Does this ring a bell? Minivan tuna.
Yeah. Well, the Eitan G always used to have tuna. I used to have tuna, and you used to have tuna.
Yeah, we
tuna with bagel.
Drain the can out the window.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Do it while we're driving. Drain the can out the window on the highway.
Yeah.
Right, and then mix it.
But Eitan G would do that, not me.
Yeah, well, he's part of our road tradition.
Yes, I would drive until I fell asleep, and then you would drive, and then Eitan G would drive, or whatever.
Ready for this one?
Yeah.
I got my card here.
Under the radar.
Rate these Schlock ideas from 1 to 10. These are my Schlock ideas.
Oh, okay.
Aerosmith, Dream On. Every time I read from the Torah.
I don't know. I'd have to look into it. It sounds good.
Do you know the line I'm talking about?
No, what's that line? What's the original?
I don't know.
Every time, but isn't that the one with Dream On?
Yeah, that
Dream
song. But the
On.
verse is, every time I look in the mirror. I think that's the original line. All right, that's a 1. That's a terrible idea.
No, I thought I would have given it a 5. You got to look into it.
Yeah, it's a little bit in the middle. Yeah. All right. Ricky Don't Lose That Number, titled Shlomo Don't Schmooze That Chicksa.
All right. So first thing is, on Schlockapella, I've already done that song.
Oh, okay.
But Shlomo Don't Schmooze That Chicksa.
What was it
is
called?
Something that Weird Al would do.
What was yours called? I don't know that.
Mine was Rivka Said Take the Bracha. Rivka said take the bracha. You don't have to. It can't go to anybody else.
Yes.
Right?
Now, this one, I'm sure you thought about doing, wanted to do. Bohemian Rhapsody, right?
Yes.
Okay. How about this one? Mama made matzo balls.
I give that line a 3.
Yes.
But because the thing is, it's Mama just killed a man. I just killed a man. So Mama. So I would take the word man, I would turn it into can. I open the can, right? Something like that.
Can of what?
Well, that's it. You're making matzo balls, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, that doesn't have to be your concept.
No.
I come up with Schlock ideas all the time, but they're like, 3, 5 at
But you know the problem. The problem with Bohemian Rhapsody is it's 7 minutes and 45 seconds, and that wasn't really a problem for them. But
how's it a problem for us? We are Pro Tools masters.
I know. So you've been taping ever since I sat down?
Yeah.
Wow. I was wondering when we went on, and you just started talking. I said, "Oh, I guess we're on." I thought you were live. I didn't know that you weren't live. I wanted to watch the one with Luan.
Oh, that's a great one. You haven't watched it? It's Luan and Keith at the same time.
I got to, and also you've had a bunch. You had Kevin Osborne, right?
Yeah, that's a good one.
So I got to watch. These are all my Daniel people. So where do I go to watch this? Under the Radar is it
on my YouTube channel?
So I got to go to you. Great.
They're
I'm gonna
short.
watch. Yeah,
they're short. This one might be a little longer though, because we really got on.